Phase 2 of the lobster boat build starts now. The hull, top, and engine are done, but the real challenge begins here. A lot of you have been asking why we hauled my brand new lobster boat away from Wesmac instead of just finishing it there. And the answer is simple. I want to finish it myself. And there are two big reasons for that. First, it saves a ton of money on the build, but more importantly, it means that I'll know the boat inside and out, because no matter how tough we make it, something eventually will break. And when something does, I want to understand every bolt, every wire, and every system, not just as a captain, but as someone who helped build it.
He's gonna be a slipper skipper.
Yeah, we're not slipper skipping, Mike. Now I'm not finishing the boat alone. I don't have that kind of experience. My buddy Mike has a ton of boat building experience, and he's the one leading the way. I'm just there to help, learn, and make sure I know exactly what makes this new boat tick. So if you missed the last video, the boat came into the finish shop. We got it all set down. We built a water level to get it leveled so we can build everything on the inside. The first step of building anything inside of the boat is to first level the outside of the boat, because everything will be built off of level. And if the boat isn't perfectly flat, then everything we build inside of it will be crooked. And already we've got a problem. It's too tall to work on. We can't reach the sides, and getting inside the boat is a battle in itself. So the first step is to build staging around it and stairs to get into it, because this is where we'll be working on the boat until it's finished. Once that's done, we're jumping straight into the first stages of building the deck. And along the way, there are going to be a lot of tough decisions to make that will shape how this boat comes together. And those decisions are ones that I will have to live with for the rest of my life. So they're quite nerve-wracking to me. All right, here we go. The first morning with the boat in the shop, and I am excited. It's so nice to have the boat back home, only a few minutes away from my house. So it's going to be honestly pretty hard to keep me out of this shop. I'm probably going to spend a dangerous amount of time in this shop. Mike is also pretty excited. He texted me last night, said he was headed in at 4 this morning. So he's been there already all morning. So we're gonna build some catwalks around the boat out of lumber so we can work safely. Let's head in here and see what he's been up to since 4 a.m. Tape measure.
Should be right by that red handle, the black mark.
So are the boxes gonna just be like staging basically? They're gonna have legs on them, or are we putting them between the boat and the wall? Okay.
Between the
so
boat
just
and
a
the
frame.
wall, they're getting nailed to the wall.
Gotcha.
32 by 4s, 33 inches long. We'll cut them right on that. After we get the frames built, before we put the plywood on, we're gonna put the frames up on the wall, build knees, then we can put the plywood on, walk down it.
Okay.
Put each one of these right off of that level.
Okay. Just send them right across?
Yep. I'd set 16 footers up and down. Right now, like this. I'd get one fastened into that, level it off, put a 16 footer where the two 10 footers gonna meet, split the 16 footer right on.
Yep.
I'll be back.
Alright, we'll get that sketchy part done, buddy.
We're gonna try to get out to...
Are we going all the way here? Or
I'm assuming we're going this way.
okay.
It should be pretty close, right?
It's a lot closer.
Put some faith in it.
I just put a little red one yesterday.
Is it on that top shelf now? They got it away?
I don't think so. That's alright, dude.
This one, and then we need one more on the stern. right, we now have a nice catwalk. We can get around the boat to work on it more comfortably without going in the heat, taking a digger. And we have some nice stairs to get in and out of the boat. Not bad. So the first step we have is to build some bulkheads, and that's basically what these are. We just need more of them. These are the main bulkheads. We need to carry them back. These are what are gonna give the floor support. So the floor, as you saw in the 3D model, goes over the top of this, and the floor needs something underneath it to hold it up, keep it strong. So we're gonna build all of these supports as bulkheads underneath the floor, and they'll hold the floor in place as we put it on top. So the very first step is to build these bulkheads. And the problem we're running into now is that the jack stands that we put underneath are pushing up on the bottom of the boat, and they're causing the hull to heave a little bit. So we gotta move them out, start prepping for bulkheads. Ouch!
Some parts of it are
rewarding,
real
some
good.
bits are like, get me out of here.
I didn't want to do that since I got over that.
So given how busy this boat build is keeping us, these things have been clutch. I have a feeling I'm pretty much going to be living off these things this winter. We don't take a lot of time to run to the store, especially when there's a few of us here getting good momentum, making a lot of forward progress. We don't shut her down and go take lunch like you normally would on a normal job. So we're pretty much just eating whatever we can on the spot. And that's where these first form beef sticks come in extremely handy. If you work a busy job and you don't have a lot of time to shut her down and take lunch, take breaks, these things are awesome. 18 grams of protein. They're better than a Slim Jim. They're so delicious. My favorite are the barbecue seasoned meat sticks. They have them in several different flavors. The breakfast sausage are good, and so are the teriyaki. I could eat these things all day. They're so good. A little fiberglass dust with your caffeine. First Form, if you haven't heard of them, they make a bunch of stuff for active lifestyles, whether you work out a lot or whether you're just living an active life. They have a lot of awesome products that can help you out. This is their First Form energy drinks. And what's pretty cool about their energy drinks that I like is that the caffeine in them comes from green tea. I am a sucker for energy drinks. If you're gonna drink them, might as well drink healthy ones. This is the Screamin' Freedom flavor. We've tried the orange. This is the second one we've tried, the Screamin' Freedom. They're both really good. They have protein powders. You can head on over to the website and look through it. They have clothing, pretty much whatever you want for an active life. If you wanna try out their beef sticks or their energy drinks or anything else from their site, I'll leave a link in the description. You can head on over and check them out. They're an awesome company, and I highly recommend these two. All right, let's get this thing covered up. All right. Day one in the finish shop is in the books, and we made a good push for the first day. We got the staging built around the starboard side, and I guess we're not building staging on the port side like I thought we were, because we can access that with a forklift or rolling staging. Anyway, we can walk around the starboard side now. We can also get in and out of the boat very easily, and we've begun building the patterns for building the bulkheads, which is exciting. Those bulkheads are going to be a big milestone. Those are basically the floor supports, kind of your stringers if you were building a deck or something. I'm going to get up at 3:30, check the weather out. If the weather's no good for hauling, I'll probably head right over to the boat shop. Mike's starting at about 4 a.m. every day, so if I'm not headed for the ocean, I'll head for the boat shop. We'll either see you tomorrow morning early or in a few days. All right, morning number 2. Are we headed to the finish shop or are we going lobster fishing? One of them sounds very exciting. One of them sounds not very exciting. 25 with gusts to 29, with peak gusts to 31 20 minutes ago. So I am going to make the executive decision that we're going to the boat shop today. I'm going to head over to Wesmac early. They get there at 6. I'm going to be waiting for them when they get there. I'm going to grab those sheets. It's called Nitacor, and they have them all prepped and done, which saves us a lot of work on this side. With any luck, we'll be glassing those things in today. The floor begins going in. I'm so excited. All right, so far things are going pretty good, and it's actually a lot of fun. Every single step, every single piece we put into this boat is one step closer to the day that this thing goes in the ocean. So it's really satisfying and really rewarding, especially during the parts that make a big visual difference. We've already run into a few challenging decisions to make, which there's gonna be, I can already tell, thousands of those to make throughout this process. Trying to decide the right way to do things, the right place to put things, and the right systems to build is every single step of the way there's a different decision to make. And really trying to sit and think about each of those decisions before we make them, because every single one of them is permanent. This is like the foundation, essentially, of a house. So everything we do here, we need to make sure we do it the way that I want it, and in a way that I'm not gonna regret it down the road. So this is the first one of the big decisions, is the engine room door. See, we made the decision. We cut the hole here. We went back and forth a lot of different ways on how to do this, how to enter the engine room. But essentially what we decided on is to connect the forward floor bilge with the engine room. So essentially the engine room bilge is gonna run forward into the bow about 3 feet farther than it normally would. And then it's gonna turn to the right, and there'll actually be a set of stairs that go up into the, I don't know what the name of the room is yet, but it's basically the utility room. It's where all the electronics and hydraulics and stuff will be mounted up there. So there'll be stairs going up into that room. That room and the engine room will essentially be connected. It'll be very convenient for working on things, easy access to the engine room. I initially was planning on putting a door right here, but it would have to pretty much be swinging into the engine room, which sounds good in theory, but after sitting and thinking about reasons we might not want to do that, I realized that a door swinging into the engine room could be problematic, because if there's ever water in the engine room for any reason, it would put pressure on the door. We wouldn't be able to get into the engine room in the event that it had water in it, which is probably usually a time when you'd really want to get into the engine room to figure out where that water's coming from and get it out of here. So decided ultimately not to put a door here, or just leave the opening open. The engine room bilge will go forward into the forward floor 3 feet farther than normal, and then we'll be able to access the utility room. I don't think utility room is the right word. I don't know, the mechanical room. I don't know what we're gonna call that, but whatever it is, will be connected to the engine room, and it'll essentially be one room. This will be at a lower level, so if we do get water in the bilge at any point, it'll still be trapped down here in the lower level. It won't make it up to the utility room. Some other tough decisions that we're currently weighing are, what are we gonna build the floor stringers, the deck stringers, which are the supports that go under the deck. They serve two purposes. One, they support the deck, they hold it up from sagging, but two, they're also the dividers between the tanks. So the center tank and the two side tanks are gonna be divided by the same stringers that are used to support the deck. And what we build those out of, we're still kind of up in the air on. We're definitely gonna build them out of composite, but which kind of composite material we build it out of is still open for debate. The original plan was to get the composite, something like Nitacore over here, and when you buy Nitacore, it's basically just the core. You need to skin both sides of it, and there's a lot of work in prepping and getting that Nitacore ready to use for deck stringers. So I called over to Wesmac, and they actually have some all done. They did all the prep work already. They're all ready to put into the boat. So on a good note, they would save a lot of work over here. If we go that route, we won't have to prepare them over here. It would save us a couple days of preparation. The downside to that is they are much more expensive, because Wesmac obviously has to charge for their labor in preparing them, but it kind of offsets it, because either we got to pay Wesmac to prepare the Nitacore, or we have to prepare the Nitacore. Somebody's got to do it, so it's going to be expensive either route. We might be able to save a couple bucks if we do it ourselves, but at the end of the day, to try to save a couple bucks for 2 days worth of work, I'm kind of leaning towards just buying it off of Wesmac all done. Basically, the moral of this is that there's so many decisions, and they're important decisions. One, for it's going to be permanent, but two, from a cost standpoint. Every one of these little decisions, yeah, we can save a couple days of work, but it's going to cost a little bit more money. Each one doesn't seem like a lot, but at the end of it, they all could add up to a substantial price tag difference at the complete boat build price. So a lot of decisions to make, and a lot of thought going into each one. The fuel tanks also have to be finished. They're 90% of the way done. We just need to make caps for them. We need to finish drilling out all the baffles, seal them in, and this is another one of those decisions. What's the easiest way to do this? These things are extremely heavy. It's kind of not convenient to try to finish them down inside of here. So the original plan was to take them out of the boat and finish them out of the boat. After they're done, bring them back in and set them back down. But it's a lot lot of moving around, and they're gonna be even heavier when we go to put them back in. What we decided on the fuel tanks is we're gonna build the decks first, at least the deck stringers, so that way we can lay plywood down or temporary decks. So we can lift the fuel tanks up, set them down on the decks, finish them right on the deck, and then set them right back down in. So save a little bit of handling, a little bit of backache. These will be coming together in episode very soon. That is the fiberglass bow thruster tube. We're gonna have a bow thruster in the front of this boat. And that's a fiberglass tube that runs through the front of the boat, and it pushes the bow from side to side. And I don't want to give away too much on the thrusters, but in an episode coming very soon, we got some really cool updates on a pretty innovative thruster idea. I've never seen it done before, especially on a lobster boat, but I'm pretty excited about doing it. So also a little nervous because with that innovative stuff, oftentimes you're the test dummy. You don't really have anybody to try it out. The guinea pig curly tail word. We don't say that word on boats. If you've been following for a while, you know we're pretty superstitious about that word. We don't say it on a boat, even if the boat's on land. The pink curly-tailed farm animal. Bad luck on a boat. In the old days, they used to transport those pink curly-tailed farm animals across the ocean, and they would come across ghost ships, and all the humans would be dead on the ships. The only creatures left alive were the pink curly-tailed farm animals. So then from then on, they said no more pink curly-tailed farm animals on boats. All right, so we got to take this luan, these pieces of wood, and we're going to build patterns just like we did up in the front ones. So we can lay these patterns down on the material, cut them out, glass these in. We're preparing as much as possible for fiberglassing before we start fiberglassing, so that way when we start, we can bang it all out in one session and not have to fire up multiple batches of fiberglass. It's nice helping work on the boat. Not only do I know the boat inside and out, but everything that I do is something that I don't have to pay somebody to do. Also knowing how every single piece of this boat is built from inside and out will be very good when it comes to things breaking, which they will. When they break offshore, I will know this boat inside and out, which is very beneficial. Come on, are you kidding me? Did it. That should not have been that hard. That's why I'm a lobster fisherman, not a boat builder. So basically, all we're doing is trying to get an exact shape of what this looks like. So we can cut out a piece of material that fits in here exactly.
You ever cut much material?
A little bit, but not much.
You're gonna
Have a sore hand?
Yep. Well, this stuff don't cut, man.
Okay.
But when I get cut, you get cut, my material's gonna cut that. And this stuff's easiest. Working on this table where you're only working on one side, roll that material. Not try to bring her out here.
As a guide to square.
Yep. Then you square it off better, and you don't have to reach as far.
So mark out 3-foot sections and cut them and then roll them up.
Yeah, but they're gonna be different widths. 32 at 6 inches.
And those are by 3 feet, right?
Yep. You'll do them
32,
like this.
6 inch by 36 inch.
Then we're gonna want 6, 10, 12.
Yeah. And then 8 and
6 and
6.
8. That's perfect.
Should I just mark the table?
You do whatever's easiest for you, Jake, and it really don't matter how fussy you are. I really care about this.
That one needs to be.
Because all these 3 foots, when we lay them down, I go with that 6, this one will go first. That 6 inch is gonna stagger an inch. That one's gonna stagger on top of that one an inch. So when we lay all 3 feet down, this end will be staggered that way and we start our stagger. So each layer's attached to each other.
Kind of crazy to think this whole entire boat is built out of this stuff. That's a lot of fiberglass. Layers and layers and layers of fiberglass. Makes that whole entire boat. Kind of crazy. And the top. All right, well, the deck stringers are officially in and they look good. Deep. Such big tanks. These 3 tanks are, all 3 of them are bigger than my biggest tank on my current boat. So there's gonna be plenty of room under the tanks, whether it's for storing lobsters, fish, just rope buoys. I mean, you could put lobster traps under there, pogey barrels. There'll be so much room for all kinds of activities down there. So they're not glassed in just yet, they're just stuck in there. I'm glad that we went with the Nitacor that was all done. It was very convenient just to run over to Wesmac, grab them and be able to stick them right in. Right now we'd currently be prepping all of these panels just to get them in here. But we saved a couple days of work right there. Anything we can do to get this thing done as quick as possible within reasonable budget, I'm all for. Those look good. We got to glass them in this afternoon. I'm going to begin building the patterns for making the same things in the stern. We need to do 2 more of these, 1 on each side. We're going to run 2 more of those floor stringers / bulkheads. Technically, I think they're called bulkheads in a boat, but for people that aren't boat builders, essentially they're deck stringers. Just really big ones, really expensive deck stringers. Each one of those deck stringers ended up being like $1,800 a piece by the time you figure in the prep work that goes into getting them ready to go into the boat. And we had to buy 8 of them, like $7,000 worth of deck stringers going in. After we get the tanks out up here, finish the tanks and set them back down in, then we're gonna cut the bulkheads off at the height they go.
We're gonna get everything in here glass. These bulkheads, I gotta finish the steer in. We're gonna get the tanks out before we set the tanks. We're gonna set the tanks in the holes and then we're gonna cut it.
Then after the tanks are done and setting back down in, then cut everything off.
Start leveling it out.
And then we can decorate. Cool.
Well, we gotta put floor flanges.
Oh, yeah.
And bulkheads. There's still a lot of glass on the floor.
But you can see, like I can at least visualize what we got ahead at least now. At Wesmac, it was a little overwhelming because I didn't understand what we were doing.
Now you have an idea how this is all gonna roll.
And the forward floor should be pretty easy, right?
The forward floor is gonna be very easy now.
All right, we made a good push in the first video in the finish shop. In the next one, hopefully we'll have the deck stringers permanently fiberglassed in, and then we'll actually be lifting the fuel tanks up out of where they're sitting onto the temporary deck where we can finish building the fuel tanks. Everybody's been asking what the launch date is. We're hoping to have it done sometime in the spring, so hopefully like May. I would love to have this thing in the water for the upcoming pogie season.